Really good for all three.
Well, I'm joined now by Roland, Professor of International Affairs at the University of Ottawa and former foreign policy advisor to Justin Trudeau. Thank you for joining us. How confident is Canada that this pact will be passed by Congress? Because it's significant that Mr. Trudeau will be meeting congressional leaders today.
Yeah, Mr. Trudeau is, as we speak, meeting with Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and I'm sure he's sharing with her his view that the pact as it currently stands, as it has been negotiated, is a very good one, and that Canada supports its ratification. The Democrats have been negotiating with the White House. They're continuing to negotiate with the White House, and Canada certainly hopes that those negotiations will come to a conclusion quickly so that we can get this new deal ratified.
But can Canada actually trust the US, and more specifically Donald Trump, as a trading partner, bearing in mind what happened to Mexico just a week or so ago, when tariffs were threatened over immigration policy?
Well, we all know that Trump is an unpredictable actor. Today's meeting seems to be going well, but presidential tweets are themselves unpredictable. But all other things being equal, it's better to have a concluded trade agreement than not to have a concluded trade agreement. It would certainly add confidence to our business community and businesses in North America who have cross-border operations. So it's in Canada's interest to see this trade agreement ratified by all three countries. And I'm sure that the Prime Minister is sharing that with congressional leaders. And this is something that Trump and Trudeau now have in common. It's one of the reasons why they seem to be getting along much better than they did a year ago, for example.
But there is an issue, is there not, that is causing tension between Canada and America, and that is Huawei. The Canadians got drawn into the American-Chinese spat over trade when they arrested, under American instructions, American request, a senior Huawei executive. And I wonder what Trudeau might be trying to get from Trump on that.
Oh, I'm sure that Trudeau is asking Trump to personally press this issue with President Xi of China. This is a major issue in this country. China has, by all appearances, arbitrarily arrested two Canadian citizens in retaliation for Ms. Meng's detention on a U.S. extradition request. I'm sure that Mr. Trudeau will be impressing on President Trump that Canada is paying the price for fulfilling the terms of the extradition deal with the United States. And there are some positive signs. Mr. Trump, when he met publicly with Trudeau at the beginning of their meeting, was asked by media whether he would speak up for the two Canadians who had been detained, and he said that he would do so if the Prime Minister asked him to. Well, I can guarantee you that when they went into their private meeting, the Prime Minister will have asked him to.
And more broadly on Huawei, I mean, I'm fascinated to know, obviously the Americans are concerned about Huawei perhaps being used by the Chinese state to spy on people around the world. The British government is taking a slightly different line. The Canadian government's been taking a line more similar to London. And I wonder whether that is ultimately going to create tension between Canada and the United States, that issue.
It may eventually. Right now, Canada's in the midst of a national security review of Huawei in relation to the 5G network, just as Britain has been. And I think that the Prime Minister is likely saying to Mr. Trump that this review is continuing. We're all clear on what the U.S. position is. And for the moment, I think that the issue is probably parked in the discussions between Canada and the United States until the outcome of the Canadian review is clear. But it'll certainly be an issue, and there's very few outcomes of that review that won't cause problems one way or another with the Americans or the Chinese or both.
Roland, thank you very much for joining us. This is Beyond 100 Days. Still to come. Love you, hate your politics. How do you stop a